Welcome to LifeTalk with Mariette. I am Mariette. This show is about the life lessons that shape us, what I've learned, what I'm still learning, and how we grow through challenge, awareness, and purpose. I will share personal insights to motivate and inspire you, and sometimes invite guests who do the same. At its heart, LifeTalk is about real stories, real growth, and meaningful connection. This is LifeTalk with Mariette. Motivational, inspirational, full of heart. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Life Talk with Mariette. I'm your host, Mariette Camera. In today's show, we discuss the cost of playing small, why some people grow while others stay stuck in the same place. We have all met people who have spent 10, 20, even 25 years in the same role, the same relationship, or the same routine. But when you look closely, it's not really 25 years of experience. Sometimes it's just 1 year repeated 25 times. Now I'm going to repeat this. When we look closely, it's not really 25 years of experience. Sometimes it's just 1 year repeated 25 times. That's it, folks. So today we're going to explore the idea in four areas of life: work and career, how some people stay in the same role without ever gaining real weight. Number 2, relationships, where silence and passive rob people of connections. Personal development, how avoiding risk keeps life from expanding. And number 4, community and influence, the legacy you leave when you stay invisible. Let's get started. You're tuned in to Life Talk with Mariette. I am Mariette, and our topic today is the cost of playing small, why some people grow while others stay stuck in the same plan. So, playing small is when you stay in your comfort zone. You don't risk, you don't step up, you don't use your voice. You let others make the decisions, work in your relationships, in your community, even in your personal growth. Yes, it was very hard for me to put this together because everything I just said, I'm totally against. So, but I put this together so you can make up your own mind as to in what category you fall or what category you want to be in. At first, playing small feels safe. You avoid conflict, you keep the peace, you never stick your neck out, but over time, the cost is huge. You lose influence, you lose opportunities, and most importantly, you lose yourself. And folks, I have seen this time and time again. It's even in my surroundings. The woman makes her own money, is a homeowner, does wonderful with repairs. There isn't anything that she can't repair. And as soon as the boyfriend comes in, she changes. And let me leave it at that. That's not for me. I don't respect that. So you want to play small, you want to be safe, you want to go back and forth, you got to play the big girl in the big world, and then you go back and forth and you switch, and you think that's comfort and you think that's love, but it's familiarity. That's what it is. That makes me so mad. Anyway, let's get started here with work and career. So, does loyalty guarantee influence? No. Loyalty without initiative keeps you in the same chair. Influence is earned by adding value, not just by showing up. Typical example, a person I worked with for over 10 years. He worked for that company for 19 years. I think I worked with him for 14 years. And we got there pretty much at the same time. And he worked weekends, and you could call him, the company called him for weekend jobs and extra jobs. When others, the other employees, they were not available. So spur of the moment, he would come in and handle something, this, that, and the other. And, you know, he never grew. You could count on him like clockwork, but he didn't really grow because he didn't know how to use a computer, nor did he learn. And he had plenty of time to learn. He had plenty of money to buy himself a computer for $350. So he never learned. He never learned. And you know what? They let him go. They hired four new people and they put him way over onto the corner and said, "We'll call you when we have extra this situation come up. We'll call you." They haven't called him for a whole year, just letting you know. So loyalty, he was very loyal, but loyalty without initiative keeps you in the same chair. There you go. That's how they think. And we were very surprised. Even I was surprised. But really by their action, you can really tell their thinking, what's really behind it. They got four new people. Boy, they're very fluent. They learned this, they learned that. They all know how to use a computer. They know about apps. They know about everything. And that's what you need. And especially if you work in the public eye. If you work in the public eye, you got to be fluent with all of this and not say, "Oh, I don't know how to do this, and I don't know how to download this file. I can't do that." So, fact is that SHRM, which is the Society of Human Resource Management, the headquarters are in Alexandria, Virginia, and they're around 165 countries, and about 350,000 members. They said they report that 45% of employees believe their employer doesn't see their full potential. Okay, so my question is, me as an employee, do I let my employer know that I am interested in moving within the company and I like more responsibility? So that wasn't quite clear to me. So 45 is because they're silent, or they're being rejected. So I put a big question mark, behind there. Anyway, why do some workers stop pushing themselves? They think, it's not my job, but growth comes from saying, how can I help? I tell you, if you are the mindset of, it's not my job, you don't belong in a team. You don't belong. And you certainly don't belong next to me. I would never hire you. Yeah. Because that mindset, you cause more problems than anything else. And nothing good can ever come out of your mindset. It's not my job. What the heck is this? What is this? And people like that, they think like that. They never change either. Let me move on to the next question before I get too excited. What's the real cost of doing only what's required? You become replaceable. Someone younger or cheaper can be slotted into your role. Yes. And that's how it should be. The first signs that you only do what's required, you out the door with me. I don't dabble around. So with me, you got to be a team player. You got to learn how to think or expand your thinking, and you got to go with the flow. If not, I don't need you in my team. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy for me to be in your presence, and you certainly can't contribute anything to our work environment and to our team. What's one step towards growth at work? Well, learn a skill your company needs but hasn't invested in yet. It makes you indispensable. For instance, AI comes to mind. A lot of people, in the media, oh, AI, it's dangerous and this and that. AI is fantastic. You just have to learn how to communicate with it. And I communicate with AI just like I communicate with a person. And I'm very specific in what I want, unless I have something that I need to discuss and I'm not sure, and then I will let it know. Because it will not give you what you're looking for if you don't know what the heck you're looking for. I know what I'm looking for. And AI is very, very good in interpersonal relationships and analyzing because that's my forte, the personal relationships and behavior and everything. So, and I will discuss it with AI and say I encountered such and such. And before I even ask, because I knew what I encountered, and AI said, "That's a sign," without me telling it. It said exactly how I picked it up. That's a sign. Okay. So learning AI while others are still dabbling or afraid, I would really learn that because it's already the future. So, what separates someone with weight from someone without? What separates someone with weight from someone without? Influence. People with weight don't just pro- process, they shape outcomes. Hmm. Um, when I work in a company, and especially let's say I'm an HR person, I don't want to just shuffle papers administrator. I want to be able to be at a level where I have influence of also to be able to discuss my thoughts with some other department heads. And if I have a recommendation that department XYZ, if I approach the um, department head, that they're taking my recommendation. Let's say you want to bring somebody in from the outside and, hey, Rudy, you really should talk to Anna. She's a great speaker. She can teach this, that, and the other. Give her a shot and give her an appointment. But if you're in HR and you're just shoveling papers, why would some other department head even listen to you? I thought about this today. This all made sense to me. Oh, you just stay within your box and shuffle papers around for 25 years, and that's all you are. And that's all you can control. And maybe that's all you want to do because at home it's the same way. At home, the husband takes care of everything. Who was 20 years older than you. So not there's nothing wrong with that the person is older than you, but you're still that child. You don't take on responsibility. You don't feel comfortable with it. That's what I'm saying, not because he's 20 years older than you. So according to LinkedIn's workplace learning report, so it's the LinkedIn Workplace Learning Report. 94% of employees said they would stay longer if companies invested in their learning. That's how much growth matters. Now, I know several companies that really invest in their employees' education. So I wouldn't mind taking a survey and talking to people about that. Now, of course, when you work for smaller and medium-sized company, the budget may not be there. So you got to know, really who you're working for. So, but let me say something else to you. Why aren't you investing in your own education? I had to do the same thing. Many people have to do that. I have thousands, almost up to $1 million investment in myself. That's what I had to do. And I'm counting all the years when I didn't make money and I had the earning potential. But those were years when I had the apprenticeship years, the learning years. That's how I came up with almost $1 million, $1 million of education. And you know what? If you don't invest yourself, I don't want to talk to you. If I'm asking you to invest in programs with us for XYZ dollars, and you don't want to invest because what's more important is to have a Gucci Mucci pocketbook or a fancy dress or fancy um, vacations, I'm going to tell you just the way it is. You have to invest in yourself. That's the best investment. Nobody can take that away from you. And with a good a solid investment, how to sell yourself, how to communicate, you can go through life. And of course, with awareness and being interested in what's happening and how the system works. The system works where you live in. You can get through life that way and not having to depend on others, your husband or your wife or whoever it is. Yeah. So you must invest in yourself. So there are companies that invest in their employees learning. I am certain of that. And this is something you can investigate before you even apply, if that's important to you, and it should be important to you. Then you ask the question, or you don't even go and see them. But that's wrong too, because you may start with the company, you're very happy with the job, with the income and everything, and down the road they change policies. They change policies all the time. You know that. So, and um, they might be interested if they really like your work and you're a great employee. They might reimburse you for some of the courses you're taking and so forth. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. In other words, don't give up before you even started. So there's always a way out. And if they don't, well, that's a little disappointing, but invest in yourself. That's what I'm saying to you. So let's go for a break. And after the break, we're going to talk about relationships. We're back from our break. I'm Mariette Camera, Life Talk with Mariette, and the cost of playing small. Why some people grow while others stay stuck in the same place. That's the title. And category two, we're going to talk about relationships. How does playing small show up in relationships? Well, here it comes. I always saying, oh, whatever you want, instead of expressing real needs. Why would you even say whatever you want? I would say that maybe one or two if I'm busy and my partners ask me what do you want for dinner. I don't care about that. I can go with a salad tonight or with a sandwich. That's not a big issue. And whatever, I would let the other person make the decision. I mean, I don't care about that. So not all the time, but let's say if I'm busy and I don't want to take the time to eat and this, so let them make the decision. So why do people hand over all decision? That's a different story, folks. Fear of rejection or not wanting to rock the boat, but avoiding conflict means avoiding intimacy. Why would I give somebody and hand over all my decisions? What do you think? I'm crazy? I had a situation like that a long time ago. Oh, got married, and I needed to hand over my bank account and change it right to the married name. And the person was adamant about it. I didn't like that. Look, I'll change the name. It's not a problem, but it's not the first priority after we says, yes, I do. And, on Monday, I'm at I'm changing that's not that important. But apparently to the person, it was important. But also, he was the one who wanted to make all decisions. And that's where we started clashing. That's not how it's going to work. Yeah. So you have your job, you have your income, you get married, and all of a sudden you're supposed to do it the way the person tells you to. Absolutely not. Not for me. Look, I'm not your person, nor should anybody else. Because what was not discussed, what the spending habits were, and taking out money out of the cash, out of the ATM, out of the joint account every single day, going into New York, you have to eat, you have to pay for train. Um, oh, you have to stop at Macy's or whatever and buy $300 cologne. And look, you keep your own bank account and start a joint bank account for the joint expenses, but you keep your own bank account. Do yourself the favor because that's exactly what he did. He took out, at that time, in the 80s, it was $100 a day. And that was a lot of money at that time. I don't take out $100. It's probably $200 now. It's 2025. So then at the end of the month, when it's time to do the bills, well, where's the money? There's no money left. So all of this has to be discussed up front, and folks, I wouldn't feel embarrassed to lay it all out. When we were young and stupid, inexperienced, I want to say, not stupid. We're not stupid. We're just inexperienced. Um, we just, oh, love and we're together and everything. We had no idea what impulses that person had or what I had. We didn't discuss it. We just experienced it over time and it was pretty. That's what I'm saying, to keep it nice and simple. I don't want to beat anybody up. So why do people hand over all the decisions? Fear of rejection or not wanting to rock the boat, but avoiding conflict means avoiding intimacy. I already said that. I know that. What's the long-term cost of silencing yourself? Here it comes. Emotional burnout. One person becomes the driver, the other becomes the passenger until resentment builds. And we know resentment builds. We know that. How do we know that? Huh? After 32 years, they're in the bathroom together and one squeezes the toothpaste and the other one blows up. Then they go to a shrink and the shrink has to fix it. It's true. It's everything that you're bothered by the other person. It comes out at some point. I don't know at what point. You might be driving, you might be watching TV. I don't know what the triggers are. We have different triggers, but it's true. People say, oh, we never have a wrong word. We never argue. Um, and then everything blows up. Well, that's why. And we have public people, public people that very, oh, we're a good match. We fit. We never had an argument. No, I'm my own person. And we never argue. Yeah, because you follow him all the time. That's why. So, but when you have enough, you have enough. You're the passenger. I have never wanted to be a passenger. That's why I don't fit into the mold. And that's okay. So, and I'm just saying, you want to be the driver of your own life or you want to be a passenger. So, what's one way to grow in a partnership? Well, start with micro decisions. Voice an opinion on dinner, a weekend plan, or how money is spent. Small choices build confidence. Well, I tell you, if you're already into the relationship 5 or 10 years and all of a sudden you want to start voicing your um, opinion and decision, you're going to have a hard time because they say, "Oh, are you okay?" And I don't think they will let somebody when somebody's in the driver's seat and all of a sudden you're, yeah, I want to drive. They don't take you serious. Think about it. It's not going to be an easy thing. Can playing small affect health? This is much more important to you. Yes, it can. Self-silencing, it's called, is linked to higher stress hormones and weaker immune response. Why in the world would I self-silence? Why? Out of fear? Out of comfort? Because if I've always done it that way, he or she will fix it. I don't want a person like that around me. No, I want an equal partner. A partner when I feel weak that he or she can take over and vice versa. And not some meek person. A meek person won't do the right thing, folks. They botch it up. I don't want that. I'd rather be by myself. So self-silencing is linked to higher stress hormones and weaker immune response. Just think all of the stuff when you self-silence, when you don't say anything, for whatever reason, at some point that's you're going to get hiccups with all of the stuff that you silenced yourself, all these different things, situations. It comes up when you least expect it. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And many people have to numb numb themselves through alcohol or through drugs, just so they can deal with it. No, no, no. You know how I deal with it? I tell it like it is. Look, sometimes it takes a quiet tone, and sometimes you need to raise your voice. So that's the way it is. So, a study in psychology and health found women who suppress opinions during conflict have a 4 times greater risk of early death. I'll repeat that. A study in psychology and health found women who suppress opinions during conflict have a 4 times greater risk of early death. And when I researched that, I said, what about men? What happens to men? Um, it was a whole page, and I rather not comment on that because I rather have Dr. Chris with us. She's in Europe now. We're going to revisit this topic when she gets back in November because she can, from the medical side, she can really dive into that. I'm not qualified to do that, but I know it will have an effect on men as well. How does growth change a relationship? When both partners have a voice, the relationship becomes stronger and more balanced. Look, we don't have a classroom for marriage to live in a relationship and everything, and we're we're using life in apostrophe life to practice. Our practice ground is life and the setting. We got together for love, and that's all real and it's beautiful. And then when we're into the day-to-day transactions, that's when we really start getting to know one another. And since we don't know anything about each other, it's a practice field and it can turn into a battlefield. Yes, yes, because we just don't have the tools to deal with that. That's how it is. So, but I'm all for both partners having a voice. The relationship becomes stronger and more balanced. And that really means if both people have experienced personal growth, have lived on their own, have settled with their career, meaning they have proven to themselves they can earn an income so one is not depending on the other. So both people have a good, steady income and they can depend uh, on their capabilities. They can live without the partner. That's how it should be. And not one marrying, whether it's the guy or the woman, marrying the person for financial advantages. Uh-uh. Because nothing is for free. And by the next situation, you come home with a new pocketbook or a new pair of shoes, you have to explain, we know how things are starting. And then the avalanche comes down. You know how it is. Let's not kid ourselves. All right. So I'm going for a break. And after the break, we're discussing personal development. So stay tuned. Without curiosity, I can't stand routine. There is a routine in everybody. How you get up in the morning, what you do after that, you have your cup of coffee or you take your newspaper or you put the TV on or whatever you're doing. The routine, how you get out of bed and how you make the bed and who knows what. There is some routine. That's not what I'm talking about. But routine. Same shows, same food, same conversations year after year. I know people like that. They drive me nuts. And I'm not like that. Thank God. I wouldn't be able to keep myself best company. I couldn't stand being alone with a personality like that. I couldn't. You got to be your own best friend. You got to excite yourself. If you can't do that, no wonder you have problems being alone. I like my thoughts because I get to implement them too. And I like stillness because I can think about different things and how do I do this and what do I, how can I invent this? And that's very stimulating to me. Of course, uh, when you're not curious and when you do the same thing all the time, you won't even think that way. Anyway, why do people stop growing? Fear of failure? Okay. If they never try, they never fail. Okay, well, then you never fail, you don't try, you stay in the box. Okay. But they also never succeed. That's dead end. I would never want to be with a person like that. Whether they're, I don't need them as friends. Um, I don't need them around me. That's stale. It's stalemate. I don't want it. It doesn't fit with my energy vibes. It doesn't fit. It anyway. What's the cost of not trying new things? Your world shrinks, life becomes repetitive, and you miss out on discovering your own hidden abilities. Now, get this, just because somebody is 50, 60, 70, 80 doesn't mean anything. Yes, it means your work life, if you're an employee, your work life may end at age 62 or 65 because you want it that way. And so you think your world shrinks. Okay, well, your world can also open up to new things. But if you have been routinely living all these years, you're not going to say, oh, yeah, now I'm going to open up. Very seldom. Very seldom. Um, I'm asking you to be open. Your world doesn't have to shrink. And we don't have to define ourselves, okay, well, we're 84. Look at some of the people that are 84, 90 years old, 100 years old, how active they are and how they speak because they're still mentally trained. Their brain, they engage their brain every single day and the fluency of their speech and everything and just their energy around them because they're mentally with it. You wouldn't even think that they're, and also the way they move their body. It's amazing. It's just really, really amazing. So, and I'm hoping some of the older generation and some of the children, the grown children, hear what I have to say and do anything possible for their parents to engage them in activities. And uh, it's help. It's all about help. So we don't want our world to shrink. We don't want life to be repetitive. And it's definitely you discovering. You miss out on discovering your own hidden abilities. That's for sure. Why couldn't you start learning how to film? Whatever your interests are, let's build them. Let's build them together, whether they're in communication, whether they're in research. Maybe you want to learn the technical end of different things. I learned um, all the technical aspect, how to record shows, how to film, how to edit shows, how to do this. Now, I never had to do this before in 18 years of being a radio broadcaster. I always had engineers that handled the technical aspect to get us on air, to get me on air and everything. And now I handle everything myself because I learned in the past year. It's amazing. And I am so excited about learning all of this. And I got a question yesterday. Why are you so excited about this? I said, because I can improve with every time. And I'm learning new editing tools and how to do this and how to make this rotate and this. And oh my God, there's just so much. It's just so exciting. And to go with the flow because you still with the flow of life and with the younger ones, what they're doing and trying to understand the young ones. That's a good one too. I love that. So how can someone grow at 50, 60, or even 70? Learn technologies, just what I said, join a new group, or pick up a language. Curiosity has no age limit. Language, very important. I speak another language. I speak German, and to converse back and forth and really do a good job being professional. And I just love that. So you've got to practice all the time. Um, I like to join more groups, like-minded souls. That's a little hard to find. To people that you have an emotional and spiritual connection to. Very important. People that are smart and people that have done something in their life. They have experienced other cultures and everything. That's not that easy to find. That's what is for me, you know. So you can talk to anybody, but if they understand you, that's another thing. I rather talk to somebody that understands the way I think and can give me also some input and not just nod their head. And I'm thinking they're understanding because they're nodding. No, they don't. They don't understand. But people nod anyway, but I learned that. Is personal growth tied to mental health? Absolutely. People who keep learning report higher happiness and lower rates of depression. So people who keep learning report higher happiness and lower rates of depression. That's true. That's why I'm on projects all the time. Besides, it's my livelihood. And I love that. And I love to what works and what doesn't work. I just love it. It's endless. So that's why I said in the other show, I don't need to copy anybody. I don't need anybody. I don't need anybody for ideas to copy anybody's ideas. I don't. Sometimes the creativity flow is shut down. I have to tell you, it's like a waterfall, no, like a faucet. You turn the faucet on, the water comes out, and that's how it is with creativity. And sometimes you're asking for your creativity, and there's no water coming out. That's when I get impatient. But I know it's just a matter of time till that faucet, gives me more water. I know that. But sometimes, I need it right away. I need it right away. And it's true because I want to get it done. And, anyway, so I'm all for lifelong learning. Here, this is something. The nun study. What is the nun study? This was a very famous research project, by the way, by the University of Kentucky. They found that nuns who engaged in mental challenges lived 7 years longer on average. So I said, what is this nun study? But just to make a point, they were working with nuns over a period of a long time, and they studied them, and that's why they call it a nun study. So it's applicable to all of us, and not just to the nuns. I whatever. So I believe that people that are mentally engaged live longer on average. So, and people that are mentally engaged, they look younger too. Have you ever seen the people that are not engaged? They look old at age 60, 70. Look at some of the people. I'm sorry to have to tell you so bluntly, but it's true. You don't see any joy. You just see the same old stoic thing, the same thing in their body language. It's like they resigned long time ago. That's very sad. And then I come in there as a speaker and I want to rehabilitate them. It's impossible, folks. It's just impossible. Maybe for a moment, maybe for the 50 minutes that I speak, I can achieve that where, maybe tiny little light flickers and everything. But then once they're up and out the door, that's it. They go back to their life and it's the same thing. So you got to work on this on a steady basis. You have to want to. I don't look at it, oh, I'm going to get up now. I'm going to get up this morning, tomorrow morning, I'm going to work on it. No, I'm in my passion and I just follow my passion and it's not work for me. And I have work. I have an income and I'm passionate about it and I show results. So I can do this work for myself and I help other people. That's what I do for a living with KMR Educational Services. What's one daily habit for growth? Ask yourself, what did I learn today that I didn't know yesterday? Well, yes, um, that Canva program where I have to put all the images through before I put them in the editing program. To learn all these programs, you got to have the right mindset. And when I don't always have the right mindset, especially from jumping from this program to that program, but it's all necessary to do a very professional video. So you got to really know the path and you got to do what you got to do. So you got to learn, okay, just because you download an image of a certain size and you put it into an editing program, um, it will not show and fill out the screen, even though it's the same size that you requested. So we always have to make sure to put it through another program and it's the correct size. So when you put it into the editing program, it has the right size. It just, and there are several steps. It's a pain in the butt, but once you get it, it's no longer a pain in the butt. It goes boom, 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 boom. It goes 1, 2, 3. So that's good enough for me. So I love what I do. But anyway, let's go for a break. We need a break right now, and we'll be right back. We are back from our break. You tuned in to Life Talk with Mariette, and we are on our fourth segment, community and influence. The cost of playing small. That's the title today. That's the topic. Why some people grow while others stay stuck in the same place. Anyway, what does community and influence? What is that? How does that tie in? What does playing small in the community look like? Well, when you never speak at meetings, never raising a hand, never stepping up. I used to do that in school when I didn't get what they were talking about in school in class anyway. So when we would have a meeting, why would I be the first one raising my hand? I was passive in class. I'm passive. I was passive anywhere I went. So this passiveness it's like a fine thread. It goes throughout your life. You're passive. I'm not passive. I'm very active. I love it. So just because you're passive now doesn't mean you can't flip the switch. Why do some stay invisible in groups? They believe they're too small to matter. But history shows that one voice can spark a movement. That's true. That's very, very true. They believe they're too small to matter. No, you're not too small to matter. You just need to work on yourself. Work on yourself. Start reading books. Start reading some case studies and how other people's behavior and how other people live and how other people got to where they were. But don't be passive. Once you're passive, that's it. Don't come around me. Don't come near me because I can't take that. The passiveness, that's poison to me. Passiveness. So most likely when you're passive like that and something happens, somebody gets mugged or whatever, you think you're going to become active, you're going to look the other way. And you know how I am? I see somebody needs help, I run for it, whether they ask me or not. When somebody needs help. And you know what you would probably do? You would look the other way. Because once you're passive, you're passive. That's it. Sorry to tell you. That's it. I'm sorry. What's the cost of being passive in your community? You have no legacy. At the end, people may say, they were nice, but not they made a difference. I like to leave this earth. I like to believe that when I leave this earth, that people could possibly say she made a difference. At least I'm shooting for it. Whether they will or not, I don't know, but I'm shooting for it. And I get involved even though you didn't ask me to get involved because that's my job. That's how I look at it. That role fits me. That's why I can't stand passiveness. I can't stand it because when you're supposed to speak up, you don't. You turn the other way. And you may be saving somebody's job or somebody's life. You could, and you're not doing it. That's my experience with passiveness with other people. And I will not have it. How can someone grow influence locally? By mentoring one person, joining a cause, or volunteering? Small ripples create big waves. I love that. Does community involvement impact happiness? Yes, people engaged in community roles feel a stronger sense of purpose. I believe that. Now, here it comes. There's a Harvard study of adult development. It's been around for 80 years. They found that relationship and community were the number one predictor of happiness and longevity. And I dug into this a little further. So, Harvard study of adult development, one of the longest running studies on human life, happiness, and health. They started in 1938. They're still going strong. They followed groups of men, Harvard undergraduates, and boys from disadvantaged backgrounds in Boston. The main finding, the biggest predictor of long-term health and happiness isn't wealth, fame, or hard work. It's the quality of relationships. Good supportive relationships protect mental and physical health. I love that. I love that. It also showed that loneliness is as harmful as smoking or alcoholism to long-term health. Wait a minute. It also showed that loneliness is as harmful as smoking or alcoholism to long-term health. Okay. It's another point when Dr. Chris comes back. So, what's the first step if someone feels they have nothing to give? Hmm. My father was like that. He was a loner. He stayed by himself. He went to work. He came home. He worked around the house. He worked all the time. And he was not a chit chat person. He hardly chit chatted with my mother or with us. It worked for him. He was never lonely. He loved being by himself. And there are a lot of people like that. And he was consistent with it. So my mother suffered very much. My mother picked him. Hey, I didn't pick him. My mother did. But many times she was very on the emotional side. He wasn't, as he was younger, and he started getting more emotional as he got older and he was retired, and maybe it was the age thing. And my mother didn't really have a partner she could share with. She loved going here and there, and my father wouldn't gossip either. He wouldn't gossip except when he felt like it. And then he, whatever. So he didn't want to give anything. He didn't, and it was fine with him. So there are people like that too. Bless you. Bless you. So, but for the people that feel they have nothing to give, I just want to say start with presence. Not presents for Christmas, with being present. Presence. Show up, listen, and share your story. Influence begins with connection. And I love that. I could not do without people connection. I wouldn't want to. And I have to sort them all out. I'm going to make another show on some of the masks people wear. Are they built for themselves over time, their lifetime? And I can demask them just by looking at the behavior. And I want to share, I'm going to make a show of this. Very, very interesting. Anyway, so I don't want to be playing it small. I don't have to be the biggest because I'm not, and I don't need to be. It's a lot of responsibility. When you're the biggest, you want to be the biggest or the fastest. So I just want to be me. I just want to live my life the way I designed it. I never want to be a passenger, in my life. I want to be the driver, whether I have a partner or not. Partner needs to know, and I will give him or her um, the same space. I insist. So as I was saying, I like to live my life. I don't need to be the fastest, the smartest. I just need to be me. And I do want to talk about how people are wearing masks and what they actually gain from it. And I'm learning so much more as I'm researching and everything. So anyway, we all know about masks. not the ones we wore during the pandemic, or the ones the children put on at Halloween. I'm talking about the invisible ones, the ones we carry with us every single day. Most of us wear a mask. Some of us even have a whole wardrobe of them. A mask for work, a mask for family gatherings, a mask for when we don't want anyone to know what we're really feeling inside. So Oscar Wilde once said, "Man is least himself when he talks in his own person. Give him a mask and he will tell you the truth." I got to think about that one. Think about that. Sometimes the mask doesn't just hide us, it gives us a strange kind of freedom to say things we wouldn't otherwise. But still, why do we wear them? And what do we gain? I got to think about this whole thing more in depth, but I do want to get this out. So, why do we wear masks? First, protection. The mask protects us from judgment, it keeps us from exposing our vulnerabilities. If I smile when I'm hurting, nobody sees my pain. If I act confident when I'm scared, nobody sees my fear. That mask shields me, at least for a while. Look, I got to do some soul searching. When I'm not happy, when I'm sad, I don't have a mask. You'll see it. You see what? No, no. But anyway, let me move on. Second is acceptance. We all want to belong. Maybe at work, everyone expects you to be upbeat, productive, together. So you put on that mask. Maybe in your family, everyone thinks you are the strong one, so you wear the mask of strength. Even when you feel like collapsing inside, the mask says, "See, I fit in. I'm one of you." And third, sometimes it's a power and influence. Not every mask hides weakness. Some masks are about protecting more than we feel. The mask of authority, the mask of confidence, the mask of control. And let us be honest. Sometimes those masks work. They get us in the door. They get us heard. They help us achieve what our bare, unguarded self might not. Again, that's a whole nother show, this whole mask thing, but let me get it out to you. So here's what we gain from masks. We gain safety. We avoid rejection, criticism, humiliation. We gain opportunity. That mask of confidence might win the job. We gain influence. That mask of "I've got it all together" might earn respect. But there's the paradox. What we gain in protection, we often lose in connection. Uh-huh. Okay. Again, that's another show. Trust me, I will get into this deeper. So, what is the cost of wearing masks? Um, that's the danger. The more we wear masks, the more we begin to lose track of who we are without them. We lose authenticity. People connect to the mask, not to us. We lose energy. It takes enormous effort to keep the mask in place. And worst of all, we lose intimacy and trust because trust can grow in disguise. Listen to this. Trust can't grow in disguise. I cannot make believe when I'm happy, when I'm sad, I'm confident because I earned it over the years through 4 decades. Confidence cannot be masked. Absolutely not. I disagree. I disagree. So, and I've never been, I don't have this mask when I'm sad and I have to perform that I'm ha ha ha. Absolutely not. People may admire our mask, but they can't love it. They can only love the real person underneath. But here it is, the courage to be seen. So, what does it mean to demask? It doesn't mean stripping away every defense everywhere. That's not realistic and not safe in every situation. But it does mean finding the spaces, the people, and the moments where we can let the mask slip, where we can risk being real, where our laughter is real, our tears are real, our voice is real. Carl Jung said beautifully, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. I think I'm doing a good job with showing who I am. Authenticity. I think I'm doing a good job. I have to say that. Demasking is an act of courage because when we take off the mask, we're saying, here I am. This is me. Will you accept me even like this? Do you know when you get out in front of people on radio for 18 years, now here with podcast, I'm showing you me. That's who I am. That's who I am. There are no masks. Nothing. Nothing. And here's the beautiful part. When we take off our mask, even just a little, we give other permissions to take off theirs. That's where trust begins. That's where genuine relationships are born. That's where growth happens. As Brene Brown reminds us, vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. When we demask, we step into that birthplace. So people wear masks, and yes, they gain something from them, but the deeper question is, where am I still hiding? I'm going to ask myself that question too. If there's anything hidden, I want it out, but I have to think about it. I can't do this right here on the fly. What would my life look like if I had the courage to be seen as I really am? Okay. All right. I think about it. So, folks, we're almost out of time. I hope you enjoyed the show. And have a great week. Until next time, I'm Mariette Cameron.